On this edition of Weekend Travel Update, in the future, will we travel further by not moving at all? Or will we spend our vacations out here, thousands of miles above the Earth?
Also just ahead, we'll visit the East Coast Playground. It's a first-class getaway in the Caribbean.
Plus, the Australian vacation where you can literally dig your way to riches. Those stories and more next on Weekend Travel Update.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekend Travel Update. I'm Kim Casey.
And I'm Jim Pitterty. Thanks for joining us. We begin the show today with what could be the ultimate travel getaway of the 21st century.
What used to be in our wildest dreams could become reality over the next 29 years. If you look back 29 years, who would have believed in 1962 that we could fly in something called the Concorde or even a Boeing 747? This weekend, we're going to show you what your vacations could be like in the not-too-distant future.
Shuttle to the moon now loading. Passengers, please go aboard.
Hey, Pop, how far is it to the moon?
Who can forget the Jetsons, the all-American family living on Earth in the 21st century? They brought us dreams of shuttles to the moon and journeys through outer space.
Moonport. Manhattan Hilton Hotel.
Now it appears that space will soon be within our reach. How would you like to take a vacation right out here? Plans are in the works to build a $28 billion hotel and recreation center and put it a few hundred miles above Earth. Space Resort is scheduled to open in 2020. It's an American-Japanese venture and the brainchild of Wendell Wendell.
I think there's a great romance about space. I know people love to go down to the beach and look up into the sky. Well, I think it's going to be the other way around. You're going to be up on the Space Resort. You're going to be able to look back towards the Earth and see it how you've never seen before.
Plans are that guests will stay 3 days and 2 nights. Besides that great view, the sightseeing and stargazing, we're told the big attractions will be spacewalks, space weddings, and space love. You'd get to try some of the everyday things you've watched astronauts do in zero gravity and wear clothes for the well-dressed space traveler, the unisex spacesuit. A space vacation won't come cheap. Right now, it's estimated the 3-day stay at the Space Resort will cost $50,000 to $100,000, and that's in $1991. And the project, of course, does have some problems, like how to get that Space Resort up into space once it's built. Also, how do you get the tourists to the resort?
Well, let's talk about that for a moment, because I think future or present, the big important thing for most of us on any vacation, getting there should be half the fun. So what's ahead for you? Well, by all indications, those vacations of the future will include some incredible journeys. When the Starship Enterprise took off in the first Star Trek adventure almost 25 years ago, this was the fantasy vision of future travel. But travel in the 21st century will be a lot more familiar than you may realize. First into the air will be the Boeing 777. Taking off in 1995, it will have a range just under 8,000 miles and come with extended wings to allow higher and faster flight. Next up will be a whole new generation of supersonic transports. Slated to take off in 2005, they'll fly at 1,600 miles an hour. A trip from L.A. to Tokyo, now more than 10 hours, would be just over 4. And further ahead, take a look at this mock-up of the X-30, the national aerospace plane now being designed by NASA. One version could ultimately take vacationers to space resorts, but would probably see Earth service long before that. Traveling 8 times higher and faster than existing planes, these will take off like an airplane, fly into orbit, and return to Earth, San Francisco to Tokyo, in 2 hours or less. Pretty spectacular stuff, but speed isn't everything. One company already has plans for a 21st century vacation on board a giant blimp. It would be slower. The 4-day trips would air cruise the Nile or fly over the North Pole.
There's actually a way you'll soon travel to other places in outer space without leaving your living room. All you'll need is something called a virtual reality machine, and your mind does the traveling. This is not an altered state of consciousness, but hot new computer technology. To get where you want to go, you put on what's called a data glove that allows you to move, touch, and grab. and a mask called an iPhone that lets you see and hear. You end up in a full-color, full-motion 3D place made by a computer.
Your throttle is your thumb, and the direction that you fly depends on where your finger is pointing.
Here we are moving up on the city of Seattle. That's the Space Needle, and you can even hear the people at the restaurant inside. If you want to go somewhere out of this world, how about a walk across the surface of the moon? And this is a make-believe planet called Munchkin Land, where you actually pick up the munchkins.
Oh, thank you.
It's hard to understand the concept of virtual reality, but when I put on the computer clothing and look into the mask, I feel like I'm in the place that you're looking at on the TV screen behind me. In this case, I'm in a subway in Berlin, and I can control where I go. If I turn my body to the left, I go left. If I turn right, I go right in that subway. This really is something you have to experience yourself to fully understand.
And just when can you take that virtual reality trip? Well, some predict you'll be able to do it on a home computer as early as 1994. It could end up in some amusement parks even sooner.
Well, that's spectacular. We've taken you into the skies. Let's bring you down to earth for a moment and talk about the reality of some great vacation bargains this time of the year. Now, if you live in the eastern half of the United States, fall is the time to grab great deals on cruises to the Caribbean or travel packages by air to the Bahamas, Jamaica, or the U.S. Virgin Islands. But for those of you who want something really special, we've unearthed some Caribbean finds that may make this fall your most memorable in years.
We like the quieter islands, you know.
There's nothing wrong with seeing a rainbow every day. Not
So
in the least.
relaxing.
Yeah, as it should be.
Adventurous travelers are looking beyond popular Caribbean hotspots to explore the backwater islands of this turquoise sea, searching for an untouched Caribbean of sand, surf, and serenity. In the British Virgin Islands is Virgin Gorda. Here you'll find a small yacht harbor, a handful of hotels, and this, a magnificent natural sea cave known as the Bath.
This place is absolutely incredible. Incredible, it's remarkable.
It's very sentimental. It's like God made it.
This is truly a remote getaway. You can only get to Virgin Gorda by boat or small plane from St. Thomas or San Juan. Lodging ranges from the quaint and rustic to the quaint and elegant, like Little Dick's Bay, where a room without meals this time of year will average about $235 a night. For a real escape, there's no better way to island hop than in your own sailboat. You can charter a vessel and sail it yourself or hire a crew. A skipper and first mate do all the work while you relax and soak up the sun.
The boat has every accommodation as a hotel does, yet I think it's much nicer because you get to visit the different islands and have great food and have a tour guide to show you the different places.
With meals, a week aboard your own chartered sailboat will run about $3,000 for two. Now, it's pricey, but it is a one-of-a-kind experience. But if you get cabin fever and feel like having an island all to yourself, Necker Island is available to rent. 74 acres of beach and quiet. This private island can accommodate up to 20 guests. There are no schedules to meet here. Time is measured only by the tide and, of course, your pocketbook. Beautiful spot. Lots of rock stars who vacation there, and it's only 10 minutes by boat from Virgin Gorda.
I bet rock stars have big bucks. It's pricey, isn't it?
It is pricey. $9,000 a day. But look at it this way. $9,000 a day. You accommodate 20 people,
Right.
so that's $450 each. So you and I, we just have to find 18 others, and we can afford the island for a day at least.
Give me a couple years to save up.
Okay.
Coming up next, we'll tell you how you can visit Count Dracula's castle just in time for Halloween.
And digging down under, we'll take you to Australia where the jewels you find, you keep. Those stories and more as Weekend Travel Update continues.
You really don't expect tissues to be strong. They're supposed to be soft.
Well, you can't have it both ways.
Yes, you can. Now there's a new tissue that's soft and strong. Introducing Puffs Extra Strength.
Look at these wet tissues. The puffs can hold ice.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but the other one can't.
Not even one.
Look at them all piling up on the puffs.
So this is new?
Let me give you the Dave test.
It's really soft on my nose.
Not bad.
I was stocked with a runny nose and just one tissue.
It better be this
New
one.
Puffs Extra Strength. Get a feel for the best.
Alaska. If you've got what it takes, you can make it to the top.
That was me, Mary Beth Evans, before I lost 20 pounds in 3 months on the Ultra Slim Fast plan. Now I look and feel like a whole new person. My hectic TV schedule made it hard to stick to lots of diets, but the Ultra Slim Fast plan really worked for me. A shake for breakfast, another for lunch, and then a sensible dinner. I used to always think about losing weight, but thanks to Ultra Slim Fast, I lost it.
Ultra Slim Fast. Give us a week. We'll take off the weight.
The thrill of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Experience it. Fast cars, fast drivers. Tickets are going even faster. The ARCA 500, Saturday, November 16th, and the Hardee's 500, Sunday, November 17th. The Winston Cup Championship will be determined. Don't miss it. Call now, 404-946-4211 for your piece of the action. Call now.
Not so long ago, young Daniel seemed likely to fail. But today, as a graduating senior, he's most likely to succeed. Teenagers with emotional or alcohol and drug problems can be helped and go on to do something positive. So don't lose hope. Call Charterbrook Hospital, the only hospital in the Atlanta area just for teens.
Autumn officially arrived this Monday in the Northern Hemisphere, and since the seasons are opposite down under, that means that spring travel is underway in Australia. If you're heading that way, be aware that officials have decided to bar access to one of the country's most popular tourist attractions, at least in part. Ayers Rock rises some 1,200 feet from the desert-like surface of the Australian outback. Aborigines once considered the rock a sacred spot, and travelers in modern times have been drawn to the site for spectacular vistas, especially at sunset. A popular pastime for many is rock climbing on the sheer wall. But a number of recent accidents have taken several lives, so the Australian government has decided to ban all climbing and confine visitors to ground level. Now, that ban prohibits climbing when temperatures reach 100 degrees, which is a good part of the year. But there's still plenty to see. A new national park occupies the site, and visitors can also examine Aboriginal drawings at the base of the rock, some of those drawings 40,000 years old. Well, there's a different kind of rock in the outback that you can get your hands on without ever leaving the ground. In fact, our Paul Ryan says the real attraction for most travelers goes much deeper than that.
From the air flying in, it looks quite literally like hell on earth, barren, pockmarked, and hot. In the vast Australian outback is a place few tourists get to, a town the Aborigines call Kuberpedi, meaning foolish child. They believe only a fool comes to such a place, but what brings people here are these. Opals, the best in the world. Miners stake out tiny claims and dig deep holes in the earth, hoping to strike it rich.
Welcome aboard Kuberpedi Tours.
Tours of Kuberpedi consist of browsing through the mines and sifting through the tailings, and who knows, you might find an opal. Worth anything?
Well, that one there, I don't know, when it's cut, maybe a few $100 stone.
The quest for sudden wealth out here in the opal fields of Kuberpedi does have its price. It's not unusual for the temperature out here to reach and sustain 125 degrees. That's the most interesting part of the tour, how the miners and their families survive the heat. They've moved underground.
It's perfect. Temperature-wise, it's perfect. Winter and summer.
Judy Chalmers' underground house stays a comfortable 75 degrees, as does the underground church and bookstore and motel. Foolish people, maybe, but many who have come to Kuberpedi have gone away with impressive souvenirs. So take the time to see this unique place. 3-day tours from the city of Adelaide start at $580, airfare, lodging, and all the opals you can find included. For Weekend Travel Update, I'm Paul Ryan.
If you haven't made your Halloween plans yet and you love to be spooked, you might consider this. There's a tour company selling package Halloween trips to Transylvania. Actually, it's an 8-day trip to Romania that includes an all-night costume party inside Dracula's 12th century Transylvanian castle. There's also a stopover at Dracula's birthplace and a visit to his grave site on the island of Snagov. You can count on spending about $1,400 a person for that Dracula Halloween trip.
$1,400, that will take a big bite. Sorry about that, out of a lot of people's travel budgets. Coming up next, we're going to celebrate a London adventure in America's Southwest.
And how to experience the Old South now that Scarlet and Rhett are back with the sequel. That's coming up when Weekend Travel Update continues.
When you have a corn, the bigger it gets, the smaller your shoe feels. And that can be extremely painful. Fortunately, Dr. Scholl's corn removers relieve painful corns fast. Clinically proven safe and effective. First, they cushion the pain. Then they dissolve the corn within 5 applications or less. Guaranteed. So buy Dr. Scholl's corn removers and get back into things.
What does this woman know about dieting that maybe you don't? That you don't have to drink your breakfast, because a serving of Kellogg's Special K actually has fewer calories than a glass of the leading diet shake. In fact, the entire Special K breakfast, including fruit, skim milk, and coffee, has fewer calories than the diet shake. So, if you're going to have something special when you're trying to lose weight, shouldn't it be something special with fewer calories? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.
What in this world can you get for $49.99? At America's Best, new patients get contact lenses or 2 pair of eyeglasses for $49.99, including the eye exam. America's Best contacts and eyeglasses. Daily wear soft contacts or 2 pair of eyeglasses, $49.99, including the eye exam. Offer ends Saturday.
To get tough stains like these out of your carpet, you need a professional strength stain remover. Stanley Steamer. Our deep cleaning system removes down to the roots dirt your vacuum can't reach. We can pick up just about whatever falls down. Stanley Steamer, the #1 way to clean carpets.
Serving 23 counties in the metropolitan Atlanta area.
He knew that when he kissed this girl, his mind would never romp again like the mind of God. So he waited, listening for a moment longer to the tuning fork that had been struck upon a star. Then he kissed her. At his lips' touch, she blossomed for him like a flower. Obsession, Calvin Klein. Now your gift with any $30 Obsession purchase at Rich's.
Weekend Travel Update. Let's take a look at our national calendar.
It's the time when we take a look at events happening all across the country. Let's go back first to 1826. The place is Taos, New Mexico, and the event is the Old Taos Trade Fair. Coming up next weekend, visitors will witness a recreation of the old open markets from days long gone. The cultures of early Taos settlers will be celebrated with native crafts, food, and demonstrations.
And if there's an old English flavor about Lake Havasu City in Arizona on October 7th through the 13th, well, it's got to be London Bridge Days. Since 1962, the city has celebrated its Old English edition. Events include a giant parade and a costume contest.
And in Omaha, Nebraska, they're celebrating culture, too, this time Western style. It's all part of the River City Roundup on the 25th through the 29th. There'll be roping and riding, slipping and falling. It's all part of a fun-filled 5-day event.
Scarlet, the long-awaited sequel to Gone with the Wind, appears in bookstores around the world this coming week. And if it's anything like the original epic Civil War adventure, it will be the impetus for many travelers to visit the Old South. They come looking for the southern images of antebellum mansions and large plantations. And while Gone with the Wind takes place in Georgia, our USA Getaway this week focuses on some images very much alive just north of New Orleans. The paddle-wheeler Delta Queen still steams the Mississippi from Natchez to New Orleans. And back in the 1850s, this stretch of river was home to more than half of the millionaires in the United States. That wealth can still be seen today in the more than 200 antebellum homes that draw thousands of visitors to Natchez every year.
We were very fortunate during the Civil War. They weren't burned. We were not a strategic place, so they used many of the homes for hospitals, but they allowed the people to stay in the homes.
Many of these large, gracious homes can be viewed for a nominal fee and give testimony to the kind of wealth that southern plantation owners then enjoyed. All of them have large stables, wide verandas, and architectural details that differ widely from what Americans can see anyplace else in the United States. Farther south on the river is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Here, too, travelers can find close to 30 of the white-pillared mansions. Many of these homes have antiques brought over from Europe, and while local materials may have been used to build them, artisans employed painting techniques to make woods like cypress appear to be mahogany, even marble.
There was a time when people had the money to sustain something like this. That's more of the wonder to me.
Today, the mansions are a favorite stop for bus tours. Admission runs anywhere from $5 to $10. But if you want another view of the Old South, stop by the Rural Life Museum on the Baton Rouge campus of Louisiana State University. These were the homes built by pioneers, sharecroppers, and slaves. The rough exteriors and bare-bones interiors stand in great contrast to the opulence of the plantations nearby.
We've watched a lot of Civil War movies, stayed up and watched these series, and they can't begin to touch on the feeling you get from being here.
That feeling comes alive even more inside this museum building. Here you'll find items of everyday life, including this wagon with bales of cotton hand-picked by slaves way back in 1859. You can cruise that section of the Mississippi on the Delta Queen. The 4-night trips run between November 7th and January 3rd, and depending on your stateroom, it will cost from $600 to $2,200. Now, if you need more information, you can call the Delta Queen 1-800-458-6789.
And still ahead on Weekend Travel Update, we head to Canada for a voice that's launched 100 imitations. That story as Weekend Travel Update continues.
If you've got what it takes, you can make it to the top. I'll get the dressing.
Let's make it fresh. Good seasons.
Dressing's great.
Good seasons, you make it fresh, you make it best.
Lots of margarines say they have a buttery taste, even when there's no butter in them. Kraft Touch-A-Butter spread has creamy, rich butter in it. Just a touch. Kraft Touch-A-Butter. A touch of real butter makes a real difference.